Mariska Hargitay. Not him, but the female. She's the daughter of James Mansfield, the one that died in the car accident. Her name is Mariska Hargitay. That's her right there. This is SUV, Special Victims Unit. They're doing a sex trafficking thing. They're investigating sex trafficking. It does happen in Dallas, though. I fear that Linda might be involved in some of it, but I'm not for sure. I fear that, though. I do fear it. I sincerely fear it, and I hope she's okay. But I've never met anyone more of a drunk, other than maybe my first wife, Sarah. But I've never met anyone that drank 15 beers a day in my entire life. And some of the stuff she's told me about Chris Cole, this Navy guy, what went on in San Diego with Chris Cole, her and Chris Cole's wife, her name was JC. She ended up dying of it wasn't a drug overdose, but it was called a, you know when you take the drug that helps you get off heroin? Methadone. She died of methadone overdose. But also all three of them did something horrible together. And they had cocaine involved. So that's what I'm afraid for Linda. I fear that she might be involved in something like that. It really scares me. And Dustin English does not look like a person that can be trustworthy. In my opinion, he does not look that way at all. And I found a drug pipe over there, and that's why I flipped out. Meaning I found it looked what was like either a marijuana pipe or something similar. And I flipped out after that. When I see something like that, I usually get in touch with the authorities. All right, this episode looks very good. So they're doing sex trafficking research, and Mariska Hargitay's character finds something with the Catholic Church. That's the church is involved in running a sex trafficking ring. So it's actually a pretty important one.
Also says that over time, that's something that could filter down to lower levels of state and local politics, just like partisanship has over the past.
I think we need a new Liberty Party to save our country. Dustin English at the Hunter Hills apartment, where Linda is held in bondage, there is a Wise camera constantly live streaming the inside of the apartment. Not on the outside, but on the inside. It's constantly live streaming. And I'm gonna tell you something. Let's say one thing. I saw a text message coming from a man named Chris Cole on Linda's phone. It was a text message when we lived at the mansions at Sunset Ridge, probably 2.5 years ago or two years ago, that showed an advertisement for the Wise camera coming from Houston. And Houston has a problem with prostitution, so does Los Angeles. It was coming from Houston, and he's in the Navy. And he told her to buy a Wise camera, which her roommate Dustin went out and bought, which rests inside their apartment. Chris Cole is trafficking Linda Gray from Houston, and he's part of the Navy. Hi, Chris Cole. You have a daughter, don't you, Chris Cole? And what is her name? Chris Cole's daughter? A name that we were going to use in one of my 3 children. The name is similar to Madeline. It's very similar to Madeline. She's a daughter. It's very similar to the word Madeline. Because we were going to name my first child Madeline. We found out it was a boy, and we named him David. Her name is very similar to Madeline. It's not exactly Madeline, but his name is Chris Cole. He's in the Navy. He lives in Houston. He told her to buy a Wise camera, which Dustin went out and bought and put it inside apartment 1722, which is probably constantly watching her. It's a Wise internal camera inside the living room. Her name is, I'll think of her name, because the daughter is involved and she's underage. The daughter is Chris Cole. Chris Cole has a daughter, and she's involved in all of this. And it sounds like Madeline, and her last name would be Cole. I'm Cole Spivey, but his name is Chris Cole. Is out in Houston. He's trafficking Linda Lee Gray in Dallas, Texas. It's going on right now, as in sex trafficking. And I want it to stop. Both Chris Cole in Houston and Dustin English in Dallas are going to be arrested under my authority. Did you know I have authority? Yes. Everyone out there that's on the side of God and on the side of making sure that women are not harmed have authority under God's reign. But also, the government honors that. And I can have them both arrested, and I will. All right, we're gonna go to WABI House. And we're gonna pick up your ramen and drop it off at your doorstep. You come across me, you better watch your step. You better watch your step. These two men that are trafficking, sex trafficking Linda Gray, they would go to prison for the rest of their lives as long as they could traffic her for one night. That's how crazy they are. It's Chris Cole and Dustin English. Chris Cole is in Houston. Dustin English is in Dallas. But they would go to prison for the rest of their lives just to traffic her for one night. That's why they have a Wise camera in the living room. And the reason why I know it's trafficking is because the idea to get that Wise camera, the Wise web camera, was not from Dustin. It was from Chris Cole in Houston. He sent Linda the message to get the Wise camera, which was purchased by Dustin English. She's being I don't even know how to say it. It's trafficking is a word, sex trafficking. But she is in the process of suffering. She's suffering from, or she's a bondage of sex trafficking. That's probably the proper English. Linda Lee Gray is she's in bondage of sex trafficking in Dallas. The police are so corrupt that they probably won't do anything, but one officer can report it to the government, and there's a 1-800 number I'm going to call and report it to as well. And I have the address, which is on my Facebook, which I am not removing, not until those two men are in prison for sex trafficking. Yep. And I'm going to the WABI to pick up your sushi and drop it off at your doorstep. See, I don't just drop food at your doorstep. I also free women from the bondage of sex trafficking. When I was talking to her, she had moved in front of the Wise camera and said, well, I'm in front of the Wise camera. The Wise webcam also has a microphone. So the people that are watching the Wise camera, they're going to prison because they're part of the sex trafficking ring that's going out of Dallas and all the way to Houston to a father known as Chris Cole, who has a daughter that sounds like Madeline Cole. She has a name kind of like Madeline or something like that. Anyway, she's being sex trafficking. She's a bondage of sex trafficking. So when she's interviewed, I know if the English isn't right, then it sounds slow, but she's a bondage of sex trafficking. It'll sound slow if the English is not correct. But she's a bondage, like meaning she's being held against her will due to sex trafficking. Dustin has already assaulted her and put her in the ER. I had to take her to South Lake ER to have the back of her head stapled. He also chipped her tooth, which probably doesn't help her worthiness at all, because her worthiness is not any good as much as it used to be, because he lost his temper. And that's exactly what they do to women. They lose their temper. Now, Dustin is trying to do the right thing, but I think he's addicted to something, either it be alcohol or something else. But I did find a marijuana pipe, or what looks similar to a marijuana pipe, in the living room. the last time I was over there. Since then, I have not been over there, nor will I ever return. The Dallas Police Department, the SUV, the Sexual Victims Unit, yeah, SVU, they're going to show up there and free her. It's going to happen because she doesn't know it's happening because she's special. She is a special individual, and she kind of knows it's happening, but they're going to find out because of that wise webcam. All right, we're headed to WABI. It is right there on Avenue. I'm sorry, on 8th Avenue. So it's a WABI on 8th Avenue. And we're going to pick up your ramen. And also, I think they also got something with pork in it. I don't know exactly what it was, but the ramen is coming to your doorstep. That's WABI on 8th Avenue. The God can always forgive you, but the government won't. That's how it works. God will forgive you, but the government won't. WABI. I don't call it a house. I call it a sushi den. But it is right there off of 8th Avenue. WABI is on an avenue. All right, we were at the WABI place. I guess it's off of 8th Avenue. And we're going to go 4.8 miles. We'll be there in 13 minutes. We'll arrive at 9:48 in the PM.
Approaching a railroad crossing.
Dustin English just now contacted me on May 26th at 9:39 in the PM. So he just now contacted me on May 26th, 9:39 PM. I've already asked him to stop contacting me. I've blocked him on all social media. Now I'm gonna have to get in touch with Verizon. Do not contact my phone or I'll have you arrested. And all those that are connected with Dustin English and the sex trafficking ring, I'm having them all arrested. I have family that's part of law enforcement. And if you don't leave me alone, I'm a family man and I'm a father of 3. My children are David, Luke, Elizabeth, Grace, and Gwendolyn Hope Spivey. They're all Spiveys. And we are part of law enforcement. If you do not leave us alone, if you keep harassing me, I'll have you arrested. Hi. Pretty good. Huh? Yeah, I took busy night. How about you? Yeah. Here you go. Thanks a lot, man.
What the fuck is that all about?
Why don't you go do something about it? Pussy, you got the body? Come on. Come on, right here on a light. Let's go do something about it. You're a pussy. Because you're a pussy, that's why. For being a fucking pussy. Go fuck yourself, you asshole. All right. Well, life doesn't always work out the way that you want it to. You think that it does, but it doesn't always work out exactly how you want it to work out. But you have to do something about it. Sometimes people get radical, and then sometimes, I guess you could say, the squeaky wheel gets the oil, as they say. So after a while, crocodile, eventually you become a freaking movie star, okay? Cusack's coming in town June 23rd. I'm going to turn this Frost Bank into a theater, a live theater. Right there. Frost Bank. I mostly got into theater arts because I wanted to prove to people, everyone, that I'm a human being. That's the number 1 reason. I wanted to prove that first. We got one at 7-Eleven, so we're going to pick up your cigarettes and I guess whatever other products that you got. And we're going to drop it off at your doorstep. The mileage to get to 7-Eleven is 1.5 miles. We'll be there in 5 minutes. The time for the pickup is 10:16 in the PM, as in post meridium, and we are in the museum district. There's Kimball, which Michael Keaton has been to, and the Modern Art Museum, which Cole Spivey and Linda Spivey, also known as Linda Lee Gray, but Linda Spivey has been there and done plenty of vlogs there. And Linda Spivey is my wife. This is actually Ben and Jerry's ice cream from 7-Eleven. So it's coming up here up to the left. Usually it's cigarette products, but this is good because I can just drop it off at the door. Look, 2 war heroes that died. Two Ben Jerry's chocolates. Yeah, I'm right here looking for a second. Wait a minute. Excuse me?
Yeah, I'm trying to.
I know, but I'm also trying to get around, and I'm on a 6-foot rule.
You're trying to do what?
I'm trying to get around you, and I'm on a 6-foot rule. So I need you to stand back 6 foot, or I'll call the police. I will call the police if you don't stop harassing me.
I'm not harassing you.
I need you to step back. I feel threatened by you. Step back.
Okay.
Yes, I do. If you approach me, I'm calling the police.
Okay. I'm not approaching you. I'm getting to my.
You better not go anywhere near me. I need to get these two right here. All right. We're going to drop off your cookie dough, Ben & Jerry cookie dough. It'll be 3.5 miles. It's a 10-minute duration. We'll be there at 10:33 and the PM, as in post-meridium. And Ben & Jerry's is Meridium. We'll be there in just a minute. All right. Getting messages right here. So that's the ends in a 7. We're looking at one that ends in a 6. That's 33, 32. And we have no address on this one. Yep, it's this corner one right here. Sorry about that.
No, I'm sorry. No, you're right. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
All right, there's the stadium. And my uncle, I'm sorry. Well, my uncle did go to TCU, Uncle John. And my stepdad, Maynard Earl, played in that stadium. They don't use it, I don't think, as much. I don't even know if they use it at all. They may use it for other things. They've rebuilt the new TCU stadium. This is the old one right there. See if I can go down this. I don't know if this would. Yeah, this might. This is like a side entrance or something. You can see part of it right here. So what they're doing is they're actually moving the TCU stadium across town. I think they mostly have done it already. They still do stuff here at this stadium, but not as much because they're using a different TCU stadium. They reassigned it, or they moved it. You know, they moved it to another location. They reassigned it to a new location. We're gonna get better. TCU is about right here. And that's the stadium, right off of Highview, which is right there. And that's Canty. All right, we're headed Old South. That's what it is right here. That's the name of it. So Linda calls me, and there's like, I can hear something in the background, like a television or something. It's very strange. I don't know for sure if I'm right. I'll tell you, I'm not completely sure, but I think I am right about this Chris Cole from Houston and Dustin English from Dallas. If it's correct, there's drug paraphernalia that's over Dustin's apartment. She's been doing this off and on for probably more than 4 or 5 years since I don't know exactly when her mother died. Her mother and her father died close apart, so she has no mother and she has no father. Her behavior is very erratic. And at times, the last time I saw her, which was at Willow Bend Mall, when I saw her lips were completely dehydrated. Dehydrated is the word. So they were like peeling. Her lips were peeling. She also has a chip in her tooth that was done by Dustin, and he also cracked the back of her head. And this can happen to a woman if she's being sex trafficked. And that's not a word. It's not a word, but I have to find the right words because this is new for me. When a woman is suffering from sex trafficking, or when she's being pimped out by somebody, which is probably Dustin English and Chris Cole. Chris Cole is Navy. Now, she did tell me that Chris Cole's wife, which was JC and her, they all hooked up in San Diego and snorted cocaine and did this wild sex party. She told me about it. She also said she had done cocaine while she was in San Diego. She's disturbed. She's special, so they're taking advantage of her, especially Dustin English and especially Chris Cole, who told Dustin English to get the Wise camera, which they have a camera that's pointed at her live streams all day long. She's told me about it. This is highly illegal. It's a form of sex trafficking, and I want it stopped. I do know law enforcement. I do know that they live in Hunter Hill's apartment. They live in Dallas. Point right now, there's another phone call that came through, and I cannot tell what's going on, but I can hear that there's noise in the background. They are located in Hunter Hill's apartment in Dallas, right next to a Kroger, 3939 Frankfurt Road, I believe. But the apartment that they're in is Hunter Hill's apartment. It's in Dallas, Texas, off of, it's 18081 Midway Road. And Dallas, Texas, I believe 75287. But it's Hunter Hill's apartment. And the apartment number is 1722. So the apartment number is 1722. There are drugs in that apartment. I've already seen the paraphernalia. I know for a fact that she's probably being trafficked. It's not a word. It's not a word. But I know that she's suffering under the imprisonment of trafficking, sex trafficking. So I know that she is suffering and she's in bondage because of sex trafficking. And it's done by Dustin English and it's done by Chris Cole out in Houston, who has a daughter, I believe, named something like Madeline. It starts with an M and it ends with Cole. M, like Madeline Cole or something. And he's Navy. He's ex-Navy. He's abused her throughout her life, and drugs have been involved. Okay, so Chris Cole's out in Houston. The Wise camera is going to be connected with him. It also goes through Chris Cole's apartment, and this is against her will. Prostitution is illegal in the state of Texas. To sex traffic a woman at any age is illegal. So Dustin English, his name is Dustin English, is going to prison under my authority because I have the right to investigate this. I'm just a citizen, but I have the right to investigate it. He has abused her. He has busted the back of her head open. I had to take her to South Lake. He's also chipped her tooth. Her name is Linda Lee Gray. Her birth date is July. Sorry, go back. Her birthday is March 11th of 1982. That is her birthday. It's March 11th of 1982. I know her birthday. I have all her information. If you are law enforcement, I can give you all the information on her. I know that she is suffering from sex trafficking. That will work on English. I know that she is suffering from sex trafficking and that she needs to be free from this. If you are a church, I ask you to pray. Pray for her. She's also suffering from extreme alcoholism and probably some other type of addiction. The last time I saw her at Willow Bend, her lips were dehydrated and they were peeling. She did not look good at all. Also, she has pain. She was suffering from some kind of pain in her side. Dustin has kicked her before, and she has told me many times to authority, or many times she has told me that she has complained. Now, here's the thing. I've gone to the Drug Enforcement Agency. I've gone to all different types of authority, but because of corruption in our country, she has to stay in this kind of bondage. She is in bondage and she's in Dallas, and she's not the only woman that's suffering from sex trafficking. And it's being done by Dustin English and Chris Cole out in Houston.